Wysteria, energy, twister.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Legends of Britany. We are now on to the King's blackamoor. One day the King of the Franks was sitting among his courtiers. Would that someone would rid me of this pestilent Morvan, who constantly afflicts the Frankish land and slays my stoutest warriors, he said, on hearing of a fresh exploit on the part of the Breton chief. Then the king's blackamoor, who heard these words, arose and stood before his master. He was tall and great of thew, and sinew a giant among men, towering head and shoulders even above the tall Frankish warriors. "Allow me to fulfil your wishes, sire," he said. "Sir Morvan has sent me his glove, and if tomorrow I do not bring you his head, I will willingly part with my own." On the next morning, Morvan's squire came to his master trembling violently. "Signor," he said, with ashy countenance, the king's moor is here, and bids you defiance." Morvan rose and took his sword. "Alas, my dear master," said the squire, take heed what you do, I pray you, for I assure you that this Moor is nothing but a demon who practices the most horrible enchantments." Morvan laughed. "Well, we shall see whether this demon can withstand cold steel or not," he said. "Go and saddle my black horse." "Saving your grace," said the page, "if you will hearken to my words, you will not fight on the black charger. He has been bewitched. Moreover, you will notice that when you enter the lists to fight the Moor, he will cast his mantle to the ground. But do not follow his example, for should your mantle fall beneath his, the strength of the black giant will be doubled. When the Moor advances to the attack, make the sign of the cross with the shaft of your lance. And when he rushes upon you in his battle fury, receive him with the steel. If you do this, you may be sure that your lance will not break." The heroes met within the lists. The King of France and his nobles had followed the giant Moor in order to witness the combat. And when all had been seated and the trumpets sounded and the two champions rushed together with the utmost fury, they circled around one another like eagles seeking an opening strike. Now one struck, then the other, and the blood flowed down their bright armour. The Frankish king in high excitement called out, "Ho, black crow of the sea, pierce me now this mail." And these words the giant heard, and assailed Morvan more furiously than he did before. As a great tempest assails a ship, the lances crossed, but that of the Moor broke like matchwood. Both leaped to earth, sword in hand, and rushed at each other like lions. Many lusty strokes were given and taken, and from their armour flew sparks, like those from a smith's anvil. Then the Moor, grasping his sword with both hands, made ready to strike a mighty blow, when swift and trenchantly Morvan thrust his blade far into the armpit and the heart, and the giant tumbled to the earth like a falling tree. Morvan placed his foot on the dead man's breast, withdrew his sword, and cut off the Moor's head. Then, attaching the bleeding trophy to the pommel of his saddle, he rode home with it and affixed it to the gate of the castle. All men praised him for his doughty deed, but he gave the grace of his victory entirely to Saint Anne, and declared that he would build a house of prayer in her honour on the heights between Lagour and the Guinde. And that's the next adventure of Morvan. The next is Morvan fights the king. That should be quite interesting indeed. Thank you for listening, and many blessings.
Wysteria, energy, twister.